Hello from here at St Andrews, where I think we've all just about caught our breath after what was a breathless, dramatic, incredible game of Championship football. Certainly one of the most dramatic I've seen for quite some time. Hull City on the right end of it, winning by 3-2. So let's start with the first things first. It's the first away win of the season for the Tigers. It's the first time since last year that they've won back-to-back games. 47 games, I think the run was, without winning back-to-back. Obviously, as we know, the last time they did that was last year when they beat Stoke, Cardiff and QPR in the space of that week. So we can finally put that to bed. They've won back-to-back games, backing up that win against Sheffield United here. They've also ended Birmingham City's 29-game unbeaten run at St Andrews. But again, tip of the iceberg. City 3-2 winners. The game was marred by a massive brawl just before half-time after Carl Joseph was clattered, but Birmingham felt that should have been a foul against Carl Joseph. That sparked abject chaos where the referee was handing out cards like confetti. There's an allegation from Sergei Yakirovich that he was told to F off back to Croatia by a member of the Birmingham City security team. He was also told to F off by the Birmingham City manager. That's been corroborated by Regan Slater. I spoke to Regan just now, who said, yes, Chris Davis did say that. I heard him. I asked Chris Davis in the post-match press conference. He denied saying that. Ultimately, Yakirovich and Davis didn't shake hands at the end of the game. Davis was unhappy with that. Yakirovich felt disrespected by a member of the Blues security staff who allegedly said that. As it stands now, I don't believe the club will be lodging a formal complaint. I think Birmingham have got bigger problems. This is not the first time that their players and staff have been involved in something unseemly on the pitch. They've just been fined recently. So I think the expectation is here that they will get another FA fine. I think both clubs will get some kind of charge from the FA for failure to control their players. I mean, at one point, Davis went nose-to-nose with Marko Salatovic, a member of Yakirivich's backroom staff, which was, I've never seen that. It was incredible to watch. As I say, I think McBurney was booked, Stansfield was booked, Gowhart was booked, Yakirivich was booked crucially. That's his third booking, so now he will be in the stands for the game against Leicester on Tuesday night at the MKM Stadium. But I think it's important. Look, obviously, if the comments about him going back to Croatia have been made, and he says they have, Birmingham have, Davis said they weren't, then that's obviously that's not great. Those sorts of things shouldn't be said. That's not ideal, and that will be dealt with obviously in due course. In terms of managers having set twos, it's part of football. It's spicy. It's emotional. There must be some Hull City fans near here because some fireworks are going off. But look, let's not shy away from the fact that City have won away from home. Funny enough, that melee happened just before half-time, and then the score was 1 each. City go up the other end. Louis Coyle puts in a lovely cross, and Regan Slater, with his first goal since Stoke away last season, in that iconic week. That week has become iconic last year. Put City 2-1 up going into half-time. So, given everything that had gone on, it was an incredible reaction from the Tigers to restore the lead. So, and they reacted really well to it. So look, I think, yes, it's a talking point, and it is a talking point because the manager, Yakirovich, came into the press conference and spoke about it and said he felt disrespected, it was out of order, he was disappointed that it happened, but as I say, I think we can probably park that and just say, look, ultimately, City have come. It's not a distraction technique. It's not trying to gloss over a defeat or anything like that. The fact of the matter is, here, Hull City have won a game. So let's focus on that. As I say, the game was just mental. You couldn't take your eyes off it for a minute. Absolutely wild. They had a player sent. Jack Robinson was sent off in the second half for a straight red. We thought it was 2 yellow cards in the space of a few seconds. We thought that he'd got booked and then booked again for something he said, but actually, we've had it confirmed that it was a straight red card for foul and abusive language. So Birmingham spent the last 25 minutes down to 10 men. But let's wind back to where it all began. City were really poor in the first half, actually. And I know that sounds daft to say because they were leading 1-0 and then 2-1. but they had zero control in the game. They couldn't keep the ball. They were struggling to deal with, particularly Patrick Roberts on this right-hand side. First off, he was cutting on the left. Jakirovic warned about him before the game that Roberts is a threat. We've seen him enough. We know what he, what a threat he was at Sunderland. So, yeah. They couldn't really deal with him, but they got the goal. A lovely play. Gelhardt fed McBurney. McBurney fed Carl Joseph, who ran in and angled the shot towards goal. It clipped the goalkeeper. It looked like it was going wide, and I guess it was a sign of things to come for Jack Robinson because he turned it into his own net. That was after 11 minutes. Just before, they didn't really build on that, and you kind of felt that Birmingham were always in the ascendancy. That they had control of the game. They were the one creating the better openings without really testing the goalkeeper actually, but it was no great surprise that they were the ones to get the next goal. And it was again, City were cut open. Patrick Roberts off the right bent a lovely ball into the player, and he had a shot. Panda probably should do better. He spills it back out, and there's Johnny on the spot, Stansfield. I suppose when you're spending £15 million or whatever it was that Birmingham spent on him, you'd expect him to tuck it away, but he tucked it away really well, and that was 1-1. And you're kind of thinking, right, I'm not massively surprised that they've conceded because, as I say, Birmingham were the dominant team. City were, I wouldn't say hanging on necessarily, but had zero control. They couldn't get up the pitch. They couldn't keep the ball for any length of time. And they were missing tackles. They were turning the ball over too quickly. When they got it back, they lost it. They were really struggling. But as I say, that melee happened, and it kind of, in some ways, it kind of unsettled Birmingham a bit, bizarrely. And then obviously, just before half-time, they go and get Akintola, who was really poor, by the way. He was one of the few City players that had a poor game. He played it to Coyle. Coyle picked over, stood up across towards the back post, and Regan, we were right behind it here. And he's come in from the left, and he's angled it top corner, and it's a really, really good header. And City are 2-1 up. When that basically, it was like popping the balloon with a pin, because it was a raucous atmosphere. It's the first time I've been to St Andrews for quite a while, where the crowd, it's been full. The crowd have been right up for it. 27,000 in, sold out. City fans who were fantastic, by the way, behind the goal. It popped the atmosphere, and it impacted at the start of the second half, where Birmingham were slow out of blocks. The crowd were quiet. I think Anderson had a shot, but that sort of roused the crowd. They had some moments. City had moments themselves. Jack Robinson then gets himself sent off. Ridiculous. I mean, I know Jack from Forest, and he's always got a bit of. He's a fiery character, as Jack, and he's got that Liverpudlian fire to him, and he obviously said something to the referee, who I don't want to hammer him because he's but he has come up from refereeing League Two, Conference North and South, and what have you, and he is new to the Championship. I just felt that he made some strange decisions and some difficult decisions, and perhaps there were one or two decisions that he made and he lost control at times. And I think he made a rod for his own back. I think he made this game more difficult to referee than it probably needed to be. But equally, obviously, I think their manager could have handled himself a little bit better in that melee. I'm not sure he needed to come over and get involved and face up with Salatovic. But look, it matters not. And then obviously Robinson then gets sent off. City are piling forward. The amount of chances they had was ridiculous on the counter-attack. Time and time again. Drame came on for Coyle, who got knocked. We'll come on to that in a minute. He hit the crossbar. Goalkeeper made a double save from Gelhardt, and then Liam Miller, who came on. Miller himself could have grabbed a couple. And you're kind of thinking, they're 2-1 up away from home against 10 men. They've had so many. There was, Carl Joseph went through. There were 4-on-3 at one point. You're thinking, just play the right pass, and he delayed, and the chance came and went. And we've all been there, and you're thinking, bloody hell, this is going to be one of them where City get punished. Lyndon Dykes back post header or something, and they end up getting out of here with a 2-2. But alas, finally they got the third goal in added. There was 7 minutes of added time, and I guess the game was summed up in many ways that the referee the fourth official puts 7 minutes up. They've got a corner, and the goalkeeper James Beadle comes up for the header. I'm thinking, why is he coming up for a corner when there's 7 minutes to go? And he's had a header over the bar. Some would say he was lucky to stay on the pitch actually, but earlier in the second half, the ball's come over the top. Gelhardt's took it past him, and he's cleared him out. Gelhardt. The goalkeeper's got booked because I think because it's going away from goal, that saved him from getting a straight red. But yeah, he comes up for the and heads it over. I mean, just a cracker's game. Then City again on the break. Liam Miller, fantastic, comes in off the left, comes to the edge of the box, comes into the box, looks dead central, looks like he's going to shoot and score, rolls it to Gauhart, who sticks it in the corner, and City 3-1, and game done and dusted. Fans were leaving, but still the ball goes up the top. Referee gives a penalty to Birmingham for a foul that looked like it was outside the box, but he gave the penalty. Stansfield tucked it away, 2-3. A couple of nervy moments, but they saw it out. But I mean, in fairness, City perhaps got away with one in the first half. Penalty shout, Keshi Anderson under Charlie Hughes' challenge. I'm saying it was a penalty, but I've seen them given. There was also one second half. Crooks came on. Crooks was absolutely brilliant second half, by the way. Really, really good. Came on for David Akintola. He should have got sent off because he'd been booked for a rash challenge in the middle of the park. Ball comes down the left-hand side. He knocks over, I think it was Tommy Doyle. And he sort of runs, puts his arms up in the air, almost like acknowledging that he's in trouble. He's going to get a second yellow. But the referee then books John Egan. How I don't know, the fourth official was on their side. How the fourth official hasn't seen that and said to the referee, "Hang on, you've got the wrong player." But look, you take the rub of the green, because it should have been Crooksy that was given the second yellow. In the end, it was Egan that got. Poor old Egan's like, "What have I done?" You know. But he got, as it was, he got. But I think there was 10 bookings, and obviously the sending off for Jack Robinson. And a flurry of bookings for people off the Tom Huddleston, ex-City man, he was booked in that melee, by the way. And as I said before, Jurkovic got booked, and that means he'll sit out on Tuesday night. So look, just an absolutely wild game of football. If you ever wanted the Championship summed up in 90 plus however many minutes, this is it. I mean, it was a cracking game of football. Fans, you know, as I say, sold out away following in that corner. You got their money's worth, and it's the first away win for the Tigers. It moves them up to 10th in the Championship, but just a point off the top 6 now, with 4 wins, three wins at home, and obviously the win now on the road, first away win of the season. And it's now 3 games unbeaten. The comeback against Preston, the win over United, and now obviously winning here. And yeah, they've not had the best start, Blues, but to come here and win, first team to do that since April 2024. That's, take the positives. Yeah, they've conceded 2 goals, and they didn't play great. But does it matter away from home when you've not won a game away from home all season? You've not won back-to-back games in over a year. You're playing at a team that haven't lost in 29 games. I mean, you before the game, we'd have taken a scrappy 1-0 in off Charlie Hughes' backside. So to have come here and scored 3 goals, could have had a bucket full. I mean, they had 28 shots on goal, I think. City had 18 or something. It was a bit like the Bristol City game in many ways. But thankfully, we've come out on the right end of it. But as I say, fantastic spectacle. Great game to watch. The melee on half-time was comical. Regan said it was like handbags at dawn when we spoke to him. But look, City have won away from home. Everything else is a cry over spilt milk. Let's try and whiz through quickly some of your questions before I get kicked out, because they don't want us to be here any longer than we need to be. Harry, thoughts on the Casey situation? Quick update on Casey Palmer. He's going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks. He came back from international duty with a knee injury, so there's no further update to the situation that happened before the Sheffield United game. He's now injured, so it's a moot point. He's not going to be back for a little while, which is a blow for City, because it's another attacking body they haven't got. And it's obviously a blow for Casey, who needed to come back and kind of make a point, and he can't do that. So, Harry, that's the situation with Casey. Peter, I think Hughes has to be careful. He's lucky to get away with that. I think anywhere else on the pitch, it's probably a booking. Danny, in terms of McBurney, possibly, but there was always going to be a red card in this game, and I think McBurney, I think, was booked in the melee, and I think he was. I've got it on McBurney, by the way. I can't not say this. City were under the pump at the start of in the first half, and I think it was Amir's throwing a ball up, towards the left hand side, just inside the Birmingham half, and McBurney's wrestled their he's wrestled their captain. He's won the ball. He's forced their captain all the way down to the corner flag and given away a corner. I mean, forget all his goals, forget his assists. I mean, he won't get the assist for the first goal, which is a real shame. Forget all of that. his work rate is incredible. And the way City, as I say, City are under the pump, and the way he's battled to win that corner from the halfway line and get his team up the pitch and away from danger is I mean, you have to stand up and applaud it. And maybe you could say he was taken off too early, but I think they felt that they could get Liam Miller on the left, get Carl through the middle on the counter-attack, rest McBurney for Tuesday. They've got two obviously big home games coming up Tuesday, Saturday against Leicester and Charlton. He's on a yellow card, and the way the referee was going, it wouldn't have taken much for him to give him a second yellow. Then you've got a problem. So I think in some respects it's quite clever management, because it put Carl Joseph through the middle on the counter attack. He was vital on the counter attack, and that ability to spin and move. Yeah, he got in a couple of positions he wasted, but he was getting in them, and obviously it got them Liam Miller on the left, who was terrific when he came on, a real threat, and he was brilliant. So I think that's in terms of McBurney. Quickly, let me rattle through some more questions, because I'm going to be booted out soon. Yeah, Danny, I agree with you about Chris Davies. He had to be. How he didn't get booked in that melee for going nose to nose with Salatovic, I don't know. And also, he was the one that came out of his technical area. So, but yeah, Sergei gets the booking. I mean, anything that goes on with dugout staff is essentially the responsibility of the manager, so the manager can get booked as well. He will get booked if things happen. So, but yeah, I mean that was ridiculous that he didn't get booked. Yeah, Christian agreed about the ref. I thought he was poor. You want to give referees a chance. They've got to cut their teeth in some games. I just felt this game he just made a rod for his own back. Akintola was poor. Yeah, I agree with that. Jake on Huddleston. You've got to do what you've got to do to try and win. Alistair, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was an amazing performance in terms of the control and how they played, but we've wanted this team to fight and to scrap and to be the bleep houses that you see from other teams, and they've got that in their team now, and they've, as I say, they've come away and they've battled the crowd, they've battled everything else, they've got the rub of the green perhaps with a decision or two, but not Jack Robinson, he's got to go for that, but perhaps there was a penalty first half, and obviously Crooks should have gone, and they'd have been down to 10 men. They'd have still been in front, but they'd have been down to 10 men. So, and perhaps the amount of chances on the counter-attack they had when Birmingham were pushing, perhaps that doesn't happen if Crooksy gets sent off. So, yeah, maybe they got away with one. Yeah, agree with Danny again about Akintola. I just thought he struggled all game. Liam, I've got a funny feeling about this season. I mean, you wouldn't rule them out, would you? I mean, they can win football matches, they can score goals. I mean, they struggle to keep clean sheets, but they've got something about them. There is something special about them, and you can't help but admire it. On that subject, I mean, they conceded the second goal. There's a minute to go in stoppage time-ish. Birmingham are pushing for a 3-3, and Liam Miller's bombing towards the edge of the box and shooting. There's no hint of taking it to the corner flag and trying to kill time. Absolutely not. We want to go and score again. We want to go and get a fourth goal rather than sit on it. And there'll be some people that say that's mental, that you've got to close the game down. You take it to the corner flag and you buy a foul or you get a throw or something of that ilk, try and close the game down, but not City. They want to go and score the fourth and make it 4-2. So I admire that, and I just love watching them play. I'm coming to games this season with a real sense of excitement, and I can't wait for it. Last season, going to games became, and I'm cautious to say this because I'm in a privileged position of the job I do, but some of them were a chore, and I weren't looking forward to them because I didn't enjoy the way they played. Obviously, we were in a relegation battle as well, so there was added stress there. But this season, it's a free hit. But given everything that happened in the summer, given what happened last season, I think most people would go, anything in mid-table is a bonus, given where the issues and where we've been. But I think there's a freedom about City, and there's a refreshing openness and excitement to the way they play. And as I say, sold out away fans there absolutely loved it, and the connection that is there between the players, and they can see that they're not they don't have to play well every week, but they're grinding out results, and it's still early. That's only the 10th game, 10th league game. It's still early in the season, and I think that they will get better, and I think players will get fitter, and they will start to become more and more accustomed to what the gaffer wants. So I think to have got 15 points from the first 10 games, having scored 17 or whatever it is now, 18, I think's really, really exciting. Yes, defensively they've got a problem, but then you think today that the goal they conceded was avoidable. Then they've conceded a late penalty, which can happen anywhere. They've kept Birmingham relatively at arm's length at times. Yeah, Danny, I mean, they did make it hard for himself. I agree. As soon as they went down to 10 men, they should have closed the game off. Regan said that to me just now, that we really made it hard for ourselves. When we're 2-1 up away from home, we're carving out chance after chance. They should have buried it. And ultimately, when you don't bury it, you're always susceptible to something going wrong. Thankfully, they got the third goal, which gave them that little bit of breathing space that when that, the penalty happened, whether it's a penalty or not, I'm dubious about, but I've not seen the replay. In real time, it looked like the foul was outside the box. It was definitely a foul, probably, but it certainly started outside the box, as I say, but I'm in the main stand a long way from it. I haven't seen a replay of it, so I stand to be corrected. Just a quick scan. Danny, yeah, I agree. Peter, I've not been booked yet, but I can't rule it out. Yeah, Jake, agree with you. Nice for it to go City's way. I would argue they probably earned that little bit of luck myself. Yeah, Brian, agree with you. Jakurovic said we needed to be tougher. Very much so. I mean, if you look at that Sheffield United game, the way they battled. Yes, they had the penalty. That's 2 penalties in 2 games now. But they found a way to win the game. And again, here today, not many teams, as we know, come here and win. Certainly recently, 29 teams have come and have gone away without a victory in Birmingham. Yes, some of those were in League One, but there have been some big teams that have come here already this season, Ipswich being one of them, and have been unable to win. So City are the first. So I think psychologically that's huge for them, and the fact they've been able to go back to back. We said before that this was an acid test, a winnable game, but if they are going to be considered the team that has got the capability of going further in the league, they've got to start winning games. They can't be a win one, lose one, win one, lose one, draw one, win one type team that dead inconsistent and don't really gain any momentum throughout the season. The fact is they've now got 2 wins back to back, plus a draw against Preston, having been 2 down, shows they are getting that mental resilience and that ability to win football matches. So we're not running before we can walk. We're not taking anything for granted. They could lose the next 2 home games and be back further, drop back down the table. I don't think that'll happen, but it's the Championship. Anything, I guess, can happen. But I like what I'm seeing, and as much as they've not been playing well, they didn't play well today. They've got a result. They will need to be better against the better teams. But we've seen they beat Southampton, so facing Leicester should offer no draw. They shouldn't be scared about facing Leicester, having dumped Southampton fairly convincingly. And I don't think much to Leicester either. Yeah, Brian, I agree with you there. Right, I'm going to call it a day because it's getting late and they're going to kick me out in a minute. Let's just quickly clarify. So Jakurovic booked again, 3rd booking, banned from the touchline on Tuesday night against the Foxes. Casey Palmer out for a few weeks. Louis Coyle took a knock on his ankle. They'll have to assess him, but the hope that he'll be okay for Tuesday night. And knowing Louis, if there's any hint that he can play on Tuesday night, he'll be there. But I thought Cody did well when he came on, in fairness. We'll have the podcast for you first thing on Monday morning. We'll be with Dean Holden on Monday ahead of the game against Leicester. Nothing to do with today. It was pre-planned. The manager, and I really like it, the manager wants to, obviously when we've got a lot of games in the space of a short period of time, he wants to just mix it up a bit. Dean is obviously very experienced and he's great to talk to. So we'll be hearing from Dean Holden on Monday, and obviously then we'll have the game for you on Tuesday. So that's it from here at St Andrews. Hull City winners by 3-2. Their first away win of the season, the first back-to-back win since beginning of last October, and the first defeat here for Birmingham City since April 2024. A run of 29 games, 30 and out. Hull City 3-2 winners. Up those Tigers.